A lot of us are constantly expected to know exactly what we want to do with our lives. At any period of transition, we are meant to know with certainty what's next. But in reality, a lot of us do not know what's next. But we're too afraid to say anything in a society that gives heavy praise to being in control and knowing. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, how do you discover what you're passionate about and normalize not knowing as a sufficient answer? Throughout this video, I'm going to uncover a 3-step program that allows you to discover one of your many passions, saving the best step for last. And I'm saving it for last because for me, it is truly the most effective and it also is the last of the 3 steps. The first step takes us way back. A lot of the time, when you're trying to discover what it is that you're passionate about, a lot of people encourage you to think back to what you wanted to be when you were a kid. But if you're like me, you can't really remember that one thing that you wanted to be as a kid. Or you do remember that one thing, but that one thing is quite unrealistic and doesn't really align with your interests right now. So instead of pondering that basic question, what you wanted to be as a kid, I find it much more effective to try and remember how people described you as a child. Think about the traits that you embodied as a kid. Personally, I was frequently called adventurous, a risk taker, and a daredevil. What were you called as a kid? Take a moment to list those traits that were personal to you. Yes, other people may have been described in the same way, but it's the combination of your specific traits and how they work together that makes you unique. So try and list a couple of traits and see how they interact with each other. Now, take a moment to think about if any of the things that you're doing currently align with the traits that you embodied as a child. At this period of transition in your life, try to think about an activity or a project or something new that you could try that aligns with the characteristics you embodied as a kid or the traits that you embodied as a kid. And like I said, choose an activity, a skill, or a project that aligns with 1, 2, or even 3 of those traits that you embodied as a kid. That is step number 1. The second tip or step in this 3-step program might be a little bit controversial, but it is to dedicate yourself fully to that project, skill, or activity that you picked. Most people will say, well, I can tell straight away whether or not I like something or whether or not I'm passionate about something, so why should I dedicate myself fully to it? And I have to say, I completely disagree. I believe that the only way to determine whether or not you're passionate about something is to dedicate yourself to it fully. You never know if you truly like something unless you go all in on that one thing. When you go all in and power through all the obstacles that come your way, that's when you'll know if you truly like something. If you only dedicate about 2 weeks to each of the activities that you want to try, you'll never know whether or not you're actually passionate about that thing. And if you're only dedicating 2 weeks to a specific activity or project before you determine that you're not passionate about it, you're unlikely to come across any obstacles along the way. So you're unlikely to be tested on your journey towards the activity or project. And it's really important to come across these obstacles to actually learn about yourself and learn whether or not you're actually passionate about that thing. So give it more than 2 weeks. Give it your full attention and go all in on it. Like I said, if you only dedicate a couple of weeks to it, it'll be wasted time and wasted potential because you won't learn anything in the process. But once you go all in, you'll actually learn what you did and did not like about that process. You can then use this valuable information to decipher what it is that you want to try next, if you actually do discover that it's something that you're not passionate about, giving it your full attention and time. So step 2 is to actually go all in. Step 3 is by far the most beneficial and important step to me, and it additionally requires going all in on. And step 3 is essentially to focus on becoming a more conscious, more present, and more loving human. Become ridiculously passionate about elevating yourself in those areas. You will learn so much more about yourself, your truth, and what you really love. If you don't practice peace, you won't know who you are behind all of the societal and social norms that you call you. Then all of your passions and your projects will be based on some superficial or societal external circumstances instead of what is truly reflecting of your inner being. Rip all of that away and dedicate yourself entirely to the pursuit of discovering yourself, who you really are, and the core of your being. The more you're able to sit with yourself and not be distracted by all of your thoughts and problems, the more you'll know yourself beyond those thoughts and problems. And the more you know yourself, the more you'll be able to discover one of your many passions. So number 3 is to dedicate time to being at peace and learning how to be at peace. This 3-step plan of number 1, picking an activity or project that aligns with the qualities you portrayed as a kid. Number 2, dedicating yourself to it fully. And number 3, practicing peace and understanding yourself is the ultimate guide to knowing what to do next on your journey. This process can ultimately be repeated an infinite amount of times, and that is the fun in it. You never stop learning, discovering more about yourself, and experiencing life to the fullest. And that is my 3-step plan, and I hope that it works for you. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a comment down below outlining how you were described as a kid and what project kind of aligns with that. I'm very curious to find out. I want to remind you guys that modifications of any of this advice is okay. You are doing something that you can do, and that is something that should be praised. And lastly, I hope you were able to find the smallest of takeaways from this video given the lifestyle that you live and the conditions that you face. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the flippity flop. Peace.